The other people.
Do you consider nostalgia a good or bad thing? How often do you go back there, or do you like to revisit there?
It really depends. When it comes to concerts and things like that, I love to revisit those because those are such great moments and they're like, I just absolutely love them. But when they're like movies or songs that are related to an event
I think
that
we
I'm
touched.
kind of sad was over,
Yeah.
then I just I don't like it
You don't want
because
to revisit it because
what was the
why? What you
point,
said
you
that
know?
thing.
It's over. It can't happen again. It's like the summer after I graduated from high school was like the most freeing, cool, fun summer I've ever. Well, one of most freeing, cool, fun summers I've ever had. But I don't really like to revisit it because it's like I know I'll never have one like that
Never be able to get that again. Like my summer would be probably the summer of 2003 was probably my favorite summer.
again.
We were doing the show that summer. Um, we because you were doing the show as well when you were in,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just I was working at the movie theater. Everything seemed to be I don't know, just a fun time. And I'm like you, I don't want to go back there and visit. And often during the time of the Corona, and also when I used to drive so much, my mind would often go back and think of that kind of thing, which would make me sad.
Yeah.
I would go back and listen to the most romantic song ever written, the Vogue song, and laugh. But part of me would be sad a little bit because we can redo the song, we can play it and have fun, but it will never be like that. We'll never see Vogue singing that song and us just crying or
That's
laughing.
one of the things where when I listen to the music, I think there's a few songs on there that I'm like, okay, I think we did pretty good on those
I
songs.
mean, I don't do good on any of it, but
The instrumental ones I think are by far the best, but
I
anyway.
do too. I
Um,
like Vogue's advice.
but when we talk about life experiences, like changes and like those big experiences that like change your life, that recording that album is one of those for me because
It's so me as well.
that was just such a fun experience, and I love to relive the recording of the album. But I would probably, I definitely would have changed many things about it.
Right.
But that was just one of the most fun, enjoyable experiences. Creative. Oh, it's just so fun. It was so good.
Too, because it came together. I don't even remember. What really sparked it again. I had thought about it years before doing an album, and I wanted to. I never really because Adam Sandler had done some albums, and I had thought of those, and I had written some comedic songs, but I couldn't play guitar, and I just had really not thought about it again. And then Jimmy Fallon had put out an album, The Bathroom Wall, and I had purchased it, and I was like, the songs I wrote. Well, I mean, some of them I thought were better than some that he had. And then when you and I started writing songs, I thought it came together. And that was one of the first times I had written, hello, Michelle. That was one of the first times that I had, we had met up and done the radio show collaborations, but that was a musical collaboration. And we did it quickly. I mean, we wrote that album and recorded in what, 2 weeks or less?
Yeah, something like that.
And it was during what, spring? It was a spring break.
During spring break, yeah, because I came back early for it.
And what was fun is like and you could probably remember as well, sitting in the studio and that smoke, that
Oh,
heat of
no.
smoke. Everyone except you and I probably smoked in there, and you could smell it.
But we secondhandly
Yeah,
smoked
but in my mind, it was what a studio should be.
Yeah,
It was like
exactly. I wouldn't want it any different.
oh,
I wouldn't want it to be any nicer, any cleaner, any more, like to me, it's like when I go to I love horse racing. When I go to the horse races, if I don't smell smoke or cigars, then I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth. Same thing. I used to go to a lot of those like club concerts, and this was before you couldn't smoke inside.
Yeah.
So when I go to concerts now in clubs and music halls, and I don't smell smoke and I don't smell like that like crazy alcohol smell, the beer smell that's like everywhere, I'm like, this isn't right.
no.
And most people are like, oh, I love there's no more smoke there. I was like, but that was part of the experience.
That was part of the atmosphere. That was part of something that set it apart from something else.
Hmm.
Not that I want people to get secondhand smoke or anything, because I don't. But it did take away from living in the moments. Part of the nostalgia when we like going. I went to I do remember being in restaurants when they had a smoking section.
Hmm.
I don't think it was everywhere, but the same thing with like airports, and concerts, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does take away from a lot of that kind of stuff.
It's weird how like smells like cigar and pipe smoke take me back to the horse races. Like, because when I was a kid, that was the only place I ever smelled it. But it's interesting because there was one summer, there was one fall where I was in the pep band in the middle school, and they were retarring the roof of the middle school. And every time I smell tar, I think about those days where we were all just like these awkward middle school kids, just kind of hanging out, having
Yeah,
fun, watching like really crappy football. But it was like a freeing moment because that was the point where in my middle school years where like I had just switched schools, and the first year
whichever.
was terrible because I didn't know anybody. But then by the second year, I started meeting a lot of people, and like I started having a good time. And it takes me back to like seventh, eighth, and ninth grades
Yeah.
every time I smell tar. So weird how that happened.
Well, it's funny also. Sometimes Shelly will send me these little like food or candy or ice cream or something from the past. Like
Hmm.
she sent me I'm trying to think what she sent me. I sent her the little Mickey Mouse ice creams, like it was like Mickey Mouse vanilla and then the chocolate ears.
Yeah.
And she had sent me something for me to had sent her that, and we kind of send each other. But it takes me back to like when I used to purchase that as a little kid in school, or we were walking the other day in Target, and we were just going through the Trapper Keeper, and
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
remember, hey, I do remember not looking forward to going back to school, but I do remember liking picking up school supplies to go back to school
Hmm.
when I was younger.
That's
But
exactly.
it's one of those things like sometimes you can get so close to a memory, you can almost reach out and touch that.
Yeah.
But then when you know that you really can't, it's like, let me not go back there again, like some things.
Exactly. It's terrible.
Yeah, well, when I wasn't very active on social media and wasn't doing anything creatively, a lot of my time was spent in nostalgia,
Hmm.
um, which it paralyzed me creatively for a while because I used to be like, man, I used to have the show. I did the regardless of how good the product was, I was trying and I had something creative.
Hmm.
And during that time, it was like nothing. So
Yeah.
now that we're back to being creative, it's very helpful and therapeutic, I think, for me.